an early lead against them. And Southern actually may be very good this year in the SWAC. But LSU comes back and they do what LSU was supposed to do, and they wind up winning by, I think it was 16-4 or something like that. It was definitely at least 10 runs. But I think that they look really good right now. And so I'm curious for people who follow LSU from a diehard standpoint, if they feel like they are meeting those expectations so far. I think they are, but I think there's always going to be a percentage of people who want them to do more. And so I think that they look good. I think they're handling those expectations, like I said so far.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, also they one of the games, yeah, I saw that it was a big scoring game, a big gap in between them.
Yeah.
And I mean, there are usually like a lot of high expectations for their program to, perform well. So
Yeah.
I think just it's opening season. The baseball season is just getting started, and they definitely came in swinging, already ranked number one.
Yeah. Talk about it more with basically every team we'll talk about, but there's so much emphasis put on this opening weekend, and people, I think, lose track that at the end of the day, this is probably the least important set of games that you'll play all season because they're not conference games. I don't know. It's just so much emphasis is put on, how'd they do this opening weekend, when at the end of the 50 games you'll play, these are probably the least 3 important ones all year. So I think that that's always funny too, is everybody wants to push the panic button on people or say, this team is so good, when at the end of the season we'll look back and be like, we were really wrong about those first 3 games. So I think if you're LSU, you have to feel really good about that opening weekend against Western Michigan, and a huge series. This is actually a very important game coming up this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, essentially, they're all pretty much just getting warmed up at this point. So to come in hot like LSU did, they should be feeling pretty good.
Yeah.
But for another team that is kind of just warming up as well, Louisiana Tech. I felt like there were a little bit of high expectations for them too, to just come in and come in hot. They're not looking too hot. They kind of pulled through in that first weekend. But what do you think? How do you think they're doing?
I think that it's a perfect example of, like I just said, everyone pushes the panic button or crowns people national champions. I did want to say LSU's game against Kansas State is a battle of 2 undefeated teams. That's their next opponent. That's going to be a great litmus test of if LSU is really as good as they look. But back to Louisiana Tech. Yeah, like you said, everyone came in with such sky-high expectations for them against BYU. They lose 10-1 on opening night. They lose 8-2 in game 3 of the series, and they wind up splitting the series, winning 2 and losing 2 against a very good BYU team. That's another program that I would love to know where Bulldog fans feel like they are. Again, the opening series is probably the least important one, and everyone wants to make such a big deal out of it. They looked as bad as they possibly could in 2 of those 4 games, and they still won 2. So to be where they are right now, I think that they have to love where they are, because there were so many question marks after that first game, but now they're getting it going.
What would you say maybe they would need to do differently to shake things up and turn things around going into their next game? Or have you heard anything from head coach Lane Burroughs in regards to, those 2 losses and 2 wins?
Well, I had the opportunity to talk to Coach Burroughs after the 3rd game that they lost 8-2 against BYU. The starting pitching had been a problem in the first 3 games. They did not get long outings from their starting pitching. And so when you're getting into the bullpen so early, you're throwing a lot of arms out there, a lot of arms that haven't been in game situations. So they threw a lot more pitchers than they would have liked to. They finally got good starting pitching in game 4, and they were able to win that game convincingly, their first convincing win of the season. So that's going to be the key moving forward, and they will. They'll be fine. The starting pitching, it was the big question mark. And I think they started to figure it out towards the end of the weekend, but that's going to be the key moving forward for them, is getting solid starting pitching. They've also not been a great fielding team so far, but they'll be fine. They will be fine.
Season's just getting started. Yeah, I think another interesting thing about that team, Louisiana Tech, is in regards to them having some new team members that have come from some of the bigger colleges, bigger schools, and how they're contributing to the team. What would you say? You were there at, you said, the third game. Were you able to see some of the performances of those new guys?
Raleigh Hector from Texas A&M actually got the start in that third game, and it goes back to these 4 games, these 3 games, whatever it is, the opening weekend. Everyone puts all their opinions into the first games. Raleigh Hector was not very good in his Louisiana Tech debut, and but he's going to wind up being one of the better pitchers for Louisiana Tech. There were some bright spots that we saw, but everybody only looks at the final score. So I got to see him. Brody Drost was a key contributor for Louisiana Tech. He's an LSU transfer, former high school player of the year in the state of Louisiana. Huge expectations coming in for him. He didn't deliver on night 1, and everyone automatically says, oh, well, that was a waste. But then he has a great rest of the weekend. And so I'm very excited to see him and the rest of the transfers as the season goes on.
Yeah, definitely going to be exciting to see how they all contribute and how they kind of, they have to get into their mojo and rhythm as a team.
And that's such a big thing, especially early in the season. Louisiana Tech lost so much talent from a year ago on a team that made an NCAA regional. Let this team get into conference first before we make any assumptions. I just can't stress it enough. It's 4 games. Like, let's get to 10 before we start making assumptions on this team,
For sure, but it's definitely exciting to be back in the world of baseball, seeing these college teams to play against one another and just get this competition going. Yeah. So let's look at another team that we're looking at here. Let's look at LSU West. They have really made an impact. What would you say? How are they doing? Oh, we got something going on here.
Look, if anybody wants to send me some more hats, that'd be great. Shout out Lucas Morgan for hooking me up. Anchor Up. LSUS is so much fun. If you are in Shreveport and you're a fan of baseball, go check out the Pilots because they play such an exciting brand of baseball. They score a ton of runs. They're going to have players that play professional baseball. People tend to overlook them because they're NAIA, and that is my my little advertisement for LSUS today. Anyway, 9-3 to start the year. They actually just lost to LSU Alexandria in a big rivalry game, but they won that series 2-1. They've got brand new turf over there at Pilot Field. They are an extremely fun team that's made back-to-back NAIA World Series appearances, and I think the sky's the limit for that team because they have so much talent, maybe the most talent they've ever had under Brad Neffendorf during his time at LSUS. I'm excited to watch the Pilots. Again, if you're a fan of baseball and you have not been to LSUS, pure baseball right there in Shreveport. There's no outside noise. It's just pure baseball, and I think it is some of the most fun baseball to watch is at that NAIA level because it is high scoring. It's a ton of fun, and they're off to a good start. They're really, really good. So go check out the Pilots. I'm excited to check them out as the season continues, and now I can take off my hat.
No, you gotta leave it on now. You brought it. No, I'm just kidding. But you're just getting me. You're getting me excited. I'm like, I got. Yeah.
And I mean, it's one of those things. I think it's almost a niche thing. It's kind of like the mud bugs. Just you have such close access to these players. You get to sit super close because it's not a huge facility over there at LSUS. I mean, it's if you're a fan of sports, it's one of the things that make sports great, I think, is that kind of atmosphere, that kind of access, and plus they're good. If they weren't good, it wouldn't matter. But they are one of the best teams in the entire country, and I think people overlook it because they're not a Division I school. If you had let's just throw a number out there because they were 4th, I think, to start the year. If you had the number 4 team in the country at anything in Shreveport, people would be talking about it all the time. But because they're NAIA, they don't get the attention they deserve. So go check them out. One of the best teams in the entire nation is in our backyard, and they're playing good baseball right now. So go check them out.
Yeah, definitely some exciting stuff. And like you said, them being in our backyard, that makes it even more special for all of you guys out here in the community to be able to go sit in there and watch that game live in person. So that's awesome. Yep. All right, guys, we are going to keep it moving here. Looking at the next team here, Centenary Baseball. Overall, they've been they're 3-1 with the slow taking off. Well, you're on camera, so everyone noticed.
Also,
But
it's like 93 degrees in this studio.
oh my gosh, I'm sorry.
I mean,
I can't.
I'm
I'm actually freezing in here, but you gotta leave the lucky jacket on. You have to suffer. I'm just kidding. Suffer through the stats. What do you think about Centenary baseball, though? Tell me a little bit about them.
They're a team that, I think they have really high expectations for people who follow them because they came off a conference championship last year, made the NCAA tournament in Division III, and they're playing good baseball. 3 wins out of 4 to start the year is really good, especially with the expectations that they had. And Brittany, I'm going to give you a shout out because you did a great job with some stats for me. They're batting 340. Anything around 300 is fantastic. So you're batting 340. You're doing a ton right. They get on base 44% of the time. And they got a little 2-game series this weekend against Whittier. That's another team, Centenary. Again, they're in our backyard. Really, really cool facility that they play at Sheehy Stadium. Go support them because this is probably the best Division III era they've had since moving from Division I in the early 2010s. They're moving into being a top 25 team in the entire country at Division III, and I'm extremely impressed with the start that they've had because they came in with a lot of expectations. The season did not end the way that they would have liked to last year in the NCAA tournament, and to come out to win 3 or 4 to start the year, that's very promising for Mike Diaz and his club.
Yeah, another one that is pretty much in our backyard that you guys can go enjoy. And like John said, we have a 2-game series coming up, so lots of opportunities to watch some ball game there.
Yeah.
Hopefully the weather, sticks it out for us.
At least it's not tonight. It's like 83% humidity. I'm not having a good time outside today, but it'll cool off this weekend, hopefully. Hopefully it doesn't rain. I don't know. I'm not a meteorologist. I'm just a sports guy.
Well, I'm ready for some baseball games, some hot dogs in hand, enjoy the baseball, the classic vibes.
Classic baseball right there.
All right,
Yeah.
another one. All right, he's over here making fun of me.
I'm not making fun of you. I'm just repeating what you're saying.
Another one that's not our backyard necessarily, but kind of close to home. Grambling. G-Man Nation, right? Yeah, they're overall 1-3.
Mm-hmm.
But so far they've played a few teams. They weren't in like a series or anything, so they faced off. Right? Yeah. I know usually I've noticed the trend is kind of like a jamboree or a series that they enter opening the season. But Grambling, they played Prairie View A&M, Southern University, and Mississippi Valley State. Oh, also, and Arkansas.
Yes.
Yeah. So what did you think about some of those games?
It's an interesting start to the year because, like I said, Southern had a big lead on LSU at one point before the pitching. LSU was able to get to their pitchers. So Southern is a very good team in the SWAC, and then they were able to get that win over Mississippi Valley State. The thing that people are going to look at, do you have the schedule up for Grambling? Could you just tell me what the final score of the Arkansas game was? Because they had a huge lead in that game. And look, in the years past, Grambling has gone to Arkansas and lost by huge amounts. For them to hang with Arkansas, I think they had a 6-run lead at one point. I think they were up 6-0, and they were hanging in there until around the 7th inning when Arkansas took the lead.
So you wanted, Arkansas?
Yes.
It was 7-9.
To lose by 2 to one of the best teams in the country, that is awesome for Grambling. So, like you said, 1-3 to start the year. But again, we're going to go back to what I said. Probably the 4 least important games of the year in terms of winning. They got Alabama State. That's part of another one, another interesting tournament that they've got in New Orleans this weekend. If they can get out of there, they can get out of that series above 500 at 4-3. You got to love where you're at Grambling. Plus, they lost a ton of talent from last year's team, but really good start. I don't think you can ask for much more. Of course, you would like to have wins, but if you're going to lose games, you might as well lose to a top 10 team by only 2 runs, because that's fantastic from Grambling. So excited to see them. I don't think there's anything to be worried about over there for the G-men early on.
I think something that's unique for them and what they've been able to experience in the opening of their season, as like we said, a lot of other teams, they go into like a jamboree, they're facing off one team specifically, but they got to see a variety of different players and teams and how they work, and were really able to be versatile in what, how they want to play their game, and how they'll play it moving forward in the season.
Interesting. They're one of the few teams in the country that are already getting to see conference opponents. They're playing their teams in the conference, but it's not counting against their conference record. So they've already got to see these teams like Southern, like Prairie View A&M, like Mississippi Valley State, and then they're going to see Alabama State this weekend and some other teams from their conference. So that is going to help them so much once they actually get into SWAC play, and it's a unique opportunity, like you said, to already get to see some of the teams that they're going to face in the games that truly matter for them.
Definitely. All right, we're going to keep going here and move forward. Let's move over to the next team. We're looking at NSU. Their overall is 1-3 as well.
Yeah.
And then they also played, a variety of teams as well. So they've played against Alabama, UAB, Eastern Kentucky, and Alexandria. What do you think about, kind of how they're looking so far as well?
The theme so far has been, everyone's having a good time. Northwestern State is not. They lost to South Alabama by 1 run. They lost to, who was the second game against? Whoever it was, they lost by 1 run. And then Eastern Kentucky, they lost 11-1. Yeah, they were close against South Alabama, who's really good. The game that jumps out to me is against LSU Alexandria. LSU Alexandria is a very good NAIA team. They're going to wind up being a top 25 team in the NAIA. They've already beat LSU West, who's a top 5 team in the NAIA. I don't know. To only beat an NAIA team by 1 run, to be losing that game for most of the game, again, it doesn't really matter. I would just like to see more out of this team so far. They're the only team that I think that so far you have any real concerns about, because that is their only win. And they came in with some decent expectations. I'm not going to say lofty, but you would like to see more out of Northwestern State. And plus, the rest of that conference, the Southland Conference, has been playing phenomenal baseball, while Northwestern State hasn't made that statement so far, because you've got other teams in that conference who are beating top 25 teams, who are undefeated, who have been putting up a ton of runs, and Northwestern State just has not capitalized on that. So, again, it doesn't matter. None of these games really matter so far. Matters when you get to conference. We'll see if the Demons can turn it around, but they're the only one that I'm like, okay, well, maybe a little left to be desired so far in the early stages of the season.
Yeah, well, we'll definitely keep our eye on them, see if they progress or change the way they're playing their game in the season. Of course, this is just the beginning for all of these teams, but it's exciting that we're talking about
that team. UAB was that team. Yeah. Seton Hall this week. Seton Hall's a very good team. If they win against Seton Hall, everything I said goes out the window. That's the beauty of baseball early on in the season, is even if you're not good, you can beat one team, and all of a sudden you are, in my mind. So that's fun.
Just in John's mind.
Just in John's mind. Matters to literally nobody.
Well, it's going to be super exciting to see if they do take that win home, and just see how they turn around their season. Just like we said, we're getting hot. It's exciting to be talking about baseball once again, getting into the baseball season, and also just to get you guys excited for our next sports talk, we'll be talking about March Madness. Of course, that's just around the corner. So basketball is pretty hot right now as well. As we begin to close out our sports talk for this evening, for this afternoon, actually.
Depends on when you watch it.
Exactly. I wanted to go ahead and play our little game and do some of our matchups. So we kind of talked about a few of them already, but let's go ahead and get John's input here on some of these matchups. So we got Louisiana Tech baseball versus Nicholls State, right? I didn't butcher that.
No,
right?
you got
okay.
it. Nicholls,
okay.
Yeah.
Nicholls State, and that is Friday, February 24th at 6 p.m. And that's going to be a 3-game series. So how are you feeling about Louisiana Tech?
Like I said, I think Louisiana Tech's right where they want to be. This is going to be the series where I think we really find out if they are, maybe those expectations are where they needed to be. I don't think there's anything wrong with the expectations set, but there was a ton of new pieces for Louisiana Tech, and maybe we looked at last year's team and we applied expectations to that one instead of this new team. Nicholls State is a team that defeated a transitioning program in their first weekend, Lindenwood. Lindenwood was playing its first ever games at the Division I level. I would hope that Nicholls State can beat a team transitioning. Louisiana Tech needs to take care of this team because on paper they are better than them. You got to at least win the series. I think they will, which means I give a nice check mark to Louisiana Tech. This is a series that they need to win. If they lose the series, maybe there's some more legitimacy to the question marks that people had against BYU, because BYU is really, really good. Nicholls State is a team that's going to have to win their conference to even get into the NCAA tournament. So I think that this is a better test to see really what we've got in Louisiana Tech as opposed to last weekend. Got to win this series at home this weekend. They're at home, so go check them out.
Well, although they're 2-2, I was just gonna say, yeah, a lot of people I'm sure are probably giving them check marks too, because I mean they are sold out. Their entire season is sold out, the stadium. So I feel like even if you wanted to, you can't. You got, you gotta.
People talk in Shreveport about the captains, the minor league baseball team. We need baseball back. Louisiana Tech is truly a wonderful minor league atmosphere. It's not a college baseball atmosphere. It is a professional atmosphere. The stadium is awesome. The fans are awesome. It's going to be sold out on Friday. It's standing room only at this point. But go check it out. If you haven't been there, I don't know how many people who follow baseball haven't yet, but if you haven't, even if you're not a fan of baseball, you're going to love your time at Tech. It's a wonderful facility. They're playing some good baseball over there. And plus the train passes, you get to watch the train. That's fun. No, seriously, it is minor league baseball, and it's an hour away, and it's a professional atmosphere that they've built, and it is fantastic. So go check it out; it's a ton of fun.
Yeah, super exciting stuff there. I've heard that it's a fairly new facility as well. So, yeah, if you definitely have the opportunity, go check that game out. Now, all right, we got next up Grambling versus Alabama State. Mm-hmm. Now, this is Friday, February 24th in New Orleans, as we just mentioned a little bit ago, at 7 p.m. So,
do you have the schedule up?
I just got this. You got it too. That's just written down on the back.
I was curious where they're playing this game.
Let's see. I actually do have this up, but it just says New Orleans, Louisiana.
Random parking lot, New Orleans. I'm curious now. I'm gonna find out for myself. This is
okay. Well, while you're looking that up, do you want to tell us what you think about Grambling?
Like I said, I think Grambling, you got to like where you're at. After the game against Arkansas, hopefully you can build on that and say, look, if we can hang with Arkansas, we can hang with any team in the country. Alabama State, Alabama A&M, and Jackson State are this weekend. And you can watch these on television. It's on MLB.TV, so you can actually watch it on television. That's a ton of fun. Alabama State this year, let me pull that up. Let me see how the Hornets are doing. They're 3-2. They're 3-2 this year, and they've beaten some very good teams. They put up a ton of runs. Grambling's pitching has to be good if they're going to win these. If they're going to win these games, and so I think that's what you're looking for Grambling. Can you get pitching that will allow you to beat a high-scoring team like Alabama State, and then Jackson State to end the weekend. Jackson State has been very, very good over the last few seasons. So if you win that game, you're in good shape. I'm still trying to find where this game is being played because no one seems to know. And I'll find out before the end of this.
Maybe it's a surprise, or maybe you could drop it off in the comments after.
At the New Orleans Youth Academy and University of New Orleans. I grew up outside of New Orleans, and they closed our baseball stadium. So I was just curious where they were playing. So there we go. Yeah.
All right.
If anybody's down to New Orleans this weekend to watch Grambling, let us know. I hope you have a great time.
Yeah, tell us what your experience is like if you head out there, or if you're heading out there, let us know. That's exciting. I don't think you've given us your check mark or X yet.
So okay. You got to have good pitching against Alabama State. That would be a big win if they get it, because Alabama State's played some good teams and they've beaten them and they put up a ton of runs. The Jackson State game as well. Alabama A&M, I don't know a ton about Alabama A&M baseball. So I don't really know what that win would mean. I know a win against Jackson State would be fantastic. So let's give a check. let's give a check to those would be good wins if you get them.
We're staying hopeful for them.
Yes.
We love the positive energy.
Yeah, that's what I'm bringing to the table always.
And now we're going to look at Centenary versus Whittier.
Oh, man. Everybody's got one circled on the calendar.
Saturday, February 25th at 3 p.m. That's a 2-game series. So how are we feeling about Centenary?
Like I said, Centenary off to that 3-1 start. You got to like that. The thing is again, early on in the season, you don't know a ton about your team. So they put up a ton of runs to open the year. And these games are on the road. So you're getting to go on the road against the opponent. Winning on the road is hard to do. If you win on the road, you got to like where you're at. If you can get out of this weekend at Centenary, you got 3 games, 2 against Whittier. You're 6-1. You're feeling good. That's even a better pace than they were on last year. They've got fantastic pitching over there at Centenary. So I'll give a check to Centenary. I think they get it done because I am extremely optimistic about them being very good this year after the start that they had to the season. So checks for the Gents.
We love it. It was beautiful. Checks for the Gents. Gents? Is it
the Gents?
Gents.
Gents and ladies.
Oh, okay.
All the women's. There we go, Brittany.
Gotcha. Okay. No.
Yeah, they're the ladies and the Gents. So do not call the softball team the Gents because they're not. They're the ladies.
Okay, now you.
Okay, so it's not like you got at Northwestern State, they're the Demons, right? You got Demons and Lady Demons. You got the Gents and the ladies because they're the gentlemen and the ladies at Centenary.
Yeah, okay.
So 2 different mascots, basically.
Gotcha.
They're the Catahoula Hounds.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, yeah. As John
said,
said,
don't bring me on because I get on the tangent about the mascots.
It's okay. We love it. You're teaching me something new. I'm originally from Florida, so I'm learning about the teams and all the things here in Northwest Louisiana.
It's a cute dog that got over there. The logo. He's like an angry Catahoula hound with a little bandana. Yeah. I'm gonna pull that up. But it's a cute dog.
Keep things pushing here and look at John, just show me it later. Yeah. We got well, I don't know if we've talked about this one actually. Yeah. Number 1, LSU, of course. We've harped on them, but they're up against Kansas State on Friday, February 24th at 2 p.m. What are you giving LSU?
Is actually the one I'm most excited about because Kansas State is undefeated and LSU is undefeated. So we got 2 undefeated teams going at it. Kansas State has surprised a lot of people with how they started the season. And I'm so excited to watch them against LSU because this is LSU's biggest test. If Kansas State can get out with 1 win in this, they have to feel pretty good about it. If LSU loses this series, you start to have question marks about LSU. There's so much drama, there's so much intrigue, so many question marks about this series. If LSU sweeps this one, then you start looking at, not that Kansas State's great. Kansas State has not played as good a schedule as LSU or some other undefeated teams. But if LSU gets out of here with a sweep, it's hard to sweep teams, hard to sweep good teams. You have to start thinking, okay, this LSU team is as good as advertised. So I'm excited for this one. And I think that they'll get it done because I think LSU is that good. So a check mark to the Tigers. Haven't used this side yet. Maybe I will at some point, but check for the Tigers.
I think you prefaced that the X is coming, unfortunately. But that was a good one. I think
I'm just everyone's great. Like I don't know. They're that.
I mean, hey, we're just being positive here. But no, that is definitely going to be an exciting game. Thanks for pointing that out, too, that they're both undefeated right now. Yes. So that is some exciting stuff. If anyone's heading out to that game, let us know how that is. I'm sure that atmosphere is going to be wild. So that is super.
But that is so much fun. You need to go check that out. Yeah. And I'm sure everyone else I'm talking to has been to a game. I've been to a few. It is so much fun. Go check that out. Also, I've got the little here. I don't know if you can see it on the stream, but look at him. He looks determined.
I think you can see it from yours. But here, I'll go ahead and.
He's a determined little guy with his little bandana.
You never know what you guys are gonna get here.
Is it focusing? Did we get it? Okay. Yeah, he's got his little bandana. He's like, I'm gonna get stuff done today.
We love it. We love to see it. Thanks for pulling that up.
I love a good dog.
Always coming with spontaneity here.
Tech does. Tech's got a live bulldog. Techie. I saw him on Tuesday.
We got to, he's a little cutie.
He is. He's such a boy.
All right, let's look at this last matchup here. NSU versus Seton Hall.
Yep.
Friday, February 24th at 3 p.m. So what are you giving NSU?
This is going to be a good test for Northwestern State, and because I've been so hard on them, they'll probably win against Seton Hall, who is a good team. Not a great team, a good team. They've also got Stephen F. Austin over the weekend. Stephen F. Austin, again, good team, not a great team. Kansas State actually just swept Stephen F. Austin. That's the reason they're undefeated. So do with that information what you will. Is Kansas State any good? Or is Stephen F. Austin just that bad? Stephen F. Austin, Northwestern State, that's going to be fun because it's an old conference battle. Stephen F. Austin has left that conference. They're now in the WAC. And even though all the teams in the WAC are from like California, they just threw that team from Nacogdoches, Texas in there. Anyway, Northwestern State against Seton Hall, and then they're playing a ton of games on the road. That's not helping either. It's hard to win on the road. Let's see. If you can get out of that, if you're Northwestern.
This is going to be your only hex. I have a feeling. I have a feeling.
It's hard to pick these games so early because you don't know anything about these teams. Northwestern State has been close. They could easily only have one loss on the year, but they don't.
It's like maybe they can, but yeah, they just haven't been showing us too much hot stuff. Yeah.
Hey, go ahead, do it. I don't know. I hope they turn it around, but not a good opening weekend, not a good opening week, and then you got. That schedule's really hard. It's hard to, because everybody else is getting to play teams multiple times. They're only getting to see these teams once. You can't make adjustments on the fly. And so that's going to be tough. That's going to be tough for NSU. Hopefully the Demons get it done, but we'll see.
Well, that was some exciting stuff right there. We want to thank you all for hanging out with us here on the KTAL News Now Digital Streaming Center. For more details, highlights on sports, head on over to ktalnews.com and hit the sports tab so you can see all things going on. Yeah, tell us what you guys got coming up.
We've got some huge... on tonight's show, Bossier Soccer is playing for its first ever state championship. Tim Owens is down in Hammond. We'll have all the highlights and post-game reaction tonight. We've got some signings coming up. We've got some basketball playoffs. Tickets to the Final Four on the girls' playoff side are being punched tonight. Parkway and Natchitoches Central, Arcadia and Homer, and then Lakeside as well. All 5 of those teams battling for a spot in the Final Four. We'll have all the highlights on tonight's shows. Fox 33 News at 9, NBC News at 10. I'm so excited to see who's going to be down there. If you're a sports fan, we got you covered tonight on both Fox and NBC, so be sure to tune in. I'm super excited, so we're going to have some great shows for you.
Definitely some exciting stuff. So make sure you guys watch to get all that information. But again, of course, you can always head on over to ktalnews.com as well as download the KTAL News Now app to receive push notifications to make sure that you don't miss a beat. Thank you all so much for tuning in and hanging out with us today. We'll see you in the next Sports Talk with me, John, and the sports team. See you next time.